Welcome to AI Evening News. Tonight, DeepSeek dates V4 and adds peak pricing. Meta types straight from your brain. Claude lands on Azure. Cursor codes from your phone. Gemini paints your life. And Korea bets big on chips. But today's headliner is a 1.6 trillion model trained without a single Nvidia chip. Next, the second half of today's topics. Let's start with the big one. China just open-sourced a 1.6 trillion parameter model and says it trained it without a single Nvidia chip. It's called LongCat 2.0 from Meituan, and it's a mixture of experts' design. 1.6 trillion parameters in total, but only about 48 billion light up for any given token, so it stays fast. It reads up to 1 million tokens of context at once. Here's the part that turned heads. Meituan says the whole thing was pre-trained on roughly 50,000 domestic Chinese accelerators. No Nvidia, no AMD. The license is MIT, and the repo is already up. Under the hood, there's a sparse attention scheme, an n-gram embedding module, and multi-teacher distillation to sharpen its agent and reasoning skills. The honest caveats, the weights are still rolling out as we publish, and that no GPU training claim is hard to verify from the outside. But if it holds, China just shipped an open frontier model without the chips everyone says you need. Now a heads up for anyone building on DeepSeek. The company emailed users that the official version of V4 will ship in mid-July, with the usual round of performance gains. But the part developers will feel is the pricing. The API is moving to peak and off-peak rates. On weekdays, from 9 to noon and again from 2 to 6 p.m., the price doubles versus off-peak, on both input and output. To be fair, V4 itself isn't new. A preview has been public since April, so this is really the official release plus a new pricing clock. DeepSeek says it'll give 24 hours notice, and you can opt out and ask for a refund. Still, it's a real shift. Your API bill now depends on what time it is. Now something that sounds like science fiction. Meta says it can read full-typed sentences straight from your brain, in real time and with no implant. The system, Brain to QWERTY version 2, uses a magnetoencephalography cap, basically a brain scanner, feeds the raw signals through an end-to-end model, and then uses a fine-tuned language model to clean up the guess. Meta reports 61% average word accuracy and 78% for its best subject, against roughly 8% for earlier non-invasive methods. That's a real jump, and the training code is open. But keep the hype in check. This needs a room-sized scanner in a shielded room, it's only been tested on healthy volunteers, and it's nowhere near a product for patients. So it's a genuine leap in non-invasive brain-to-text, and still firmly a lab result. Now a big one for the enterprise crowd. Anthropic says Claude is now generally available inside Microsoft Foundry, running on Azure. At launch, you get two models in the Messages API, Claude Opus 4.8, the flagship, and the faster Claude Haiku 4.5, both with prompt caching and extended thinking, aimed at coding, agents, and heavy reasoning. The key detail is where it runs. It runs inside your own Azure environment, with Anthropic acting as the data processor, and you can pick an inference location, including a US data zone. And here's the money piece enterprises care about. If you have a Microsoft Enterprise agreement, Claude usage can draw down your Azure commitment on a single Azure bill. Translation: Claude just became a first-class citizen on Azure. Now one for developers who can't sit still. Cursor just shipped an iPhone app in public beta for everyone on a paid plan. Here's the idea. From your phone, you can kick off a cloud coding agent or reach in and steer the agent already running on your desktop. You can watch what it's doing, demos, logs, the code diff, and when it looks good, you merge the pull request right there in the app. Live activities and push notifications keep you posted while it works. So the editor didn't move to your phone, the agent did. Cursor's bet is that the interesting work now happens while you're away from the keyboard. Your coding agent in your pocket. A quick consumer one. Google is opening free personalized image generation to everyone in the US inside the Gemini app. The trick is that it ties three things together: Google's personal intelligence, its nano banana image model, and your Google Photos. With your permission, Gemini learns your taste and even your likeness from the Google apps you connect, Gmail, Photos, YouTube, Search, so the images it makes actually look like your life. It's opt-in, and you can connect or disconnect those apps in settings. For now, it's US only, but it's a clear signal of where this is going. The prompt isn't just words anymore. Increasingly, the prompt is you. Anchor, weighty, proof first. The numbers carry it. Land the closing on the scale of the build-out. And finally, the sheer scale of the build-out. South Korea just unveiled a national plan worth roughly $880 billion, spanning semiconductors, AI data centers, and what it calls physical AI, anchored by Samsung and SK. The centerpiece is about $518 billion for 4 new memory chip fabs, 2 each from Samsung and SK Hynix, aiming to roughly double the country's DRAM capacity. On top of that, AI data centers are set to scale past $650 billion by 2035, alongside a big advanced packaging push for high bandwidth memory. Now, the caveat, these are announced pledges, not money spent. And tellingly, Samsung and SK Hynix shares actually fell on the news. Still, when one country lines up numbers like these, it tells you how big the AI build-out has become.
If today's signal was useful, subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's briefing.